2023.
Good evening, and welcome to the August 1st, 2023 Tyngsborough Public Schools School Committee meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order at this time and start with introductions to my left.
Hi, Becky Stanton.
Mike Woodlock, Assistant Superintendent.
Mike Flanagan, Superintendent.
Ryan McMahon.
Christine Puma.
Jeff Bowe.
Good evening, Joe Messina, School Business Administrator.
And I'm Daniela Thanis, and if we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'd like to seek a motion to approve minutes from the June 6, 2023 school committee meeting, the June 6 executive session, and the June 20th and 27th, 2023 negotiations subcommittee meeting minutes.
I will make that motion.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 5-0-0. At this time, citizen time. Seeing none, we'll move on to correspondence. Dr. Flanagan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make the committee aware that we did receive an email from Mary Bork, who is the Executive Director of the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents, really providing some of the highlights that came out of the Conference Committee FY24 budget. Certainly there's a lot of information in that budget. It is yet to be fully authorized. The governor still has 9 days to sign that budget. But there are three particular highlights that I would like to talk about a little bit tonight. One is that what did come out of the conference committee was approval for $100 million to be appropriated to the MSBA to make a determination for specific districts that were impacted by cost overruns as a result of the pandemic that were caught in the MSBA pipeline. They put two qualifying dates on those for the committee and the community. We fall within those dates, so we are actively a potential candidate to receive additional funding from the MSBA once the governor authorizes it, if the governor authorizes this budget. Two other informational points that impact the schools. One is that the conference committee did agree to provide universal breakfast and lunch to all students in the Commonwealth. Mr. Messina is currently working with the building administration right now to really understand what that looks like. The lunch will not be an issue. We've done that in the past, but adding that layer of breakfast is a conversation we're going to have and see how we can make that work at all three schools. So Mr. Messina will present formally at the August 22nd or 23rd meeting, the next meeting. And the last piece of that was there was a little additional funding. The per pupil expenditure for Chapter 70 money went from $30 per student to $60 per student. So that's an increase of about $48,000 in Chapter 70 funding that will be recognized on the town side. There are additional parameters in there about special education funding. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like. Circuit breaker funding, we don't know exactly what that's going to look like. But the budget was favorable for public schools. So good information certainly on all counts there. The next piece of correspondence I want to talk about is I know that committee members have been receiving or have received questions about the cost overrun right now at the TMS building project. I want you to know that we are working on an FAQ with detailed information to kind of outline and provide historical information as to where we are and why we're here. It's a lot. We've had, close to 60 public meetings in the past 2 or 3 years. So there's been a lot of information out there. But we're going to try to condense that and make it as concise as possible so that the community knows that this isn't something that snuck up on us. This isn't something that was an oversight. We've been paying attention to this all along. But when you see the cost of construction increase by 21% since the time our project was approved to where we are today, certainly that's something that was unanticipated, nor expected, and nor really could be budgeted for. Had we 6 months ago or a year ago said, let's put in a 30% contingency, I think the taxpayers would have revolted. So we've been diligent throughout the process, but we are working on an FAQ right now. That will go to the school building committee at their next meeting, which is August 16th, and then we'll make it public after that. So that's where we are in terms of correspondence.
Awesome, thank you. Moving on to personnel, we have several new hires for the 2023-2024 school year. Katrina Tumpney as a licensed practical nurse, Kyle Pratt as a TMS phys ed and wellness teacher, Jasmine Gramer as a TES paraprofessional, and Haley Denisovich as a TES paraprofessional. Congratulations and welcome. We have 2 resignations for the upcoming school year. Shelby Govin, a TMS science teacher, and Hannah Stowens, the TMS health and wellness teacher. Congratulations and good luck on your next endeavors. Notifications for requests for maternity leave. Maggie Gothier, for TES music teacher. She's due anytime, and congratulations to her and her family as well. And a notification of request for paternity leave, Vincent Papagiorgio, THS teacher. Congratulations to you and your family as well. Moving on to share the success. At this time, we don't have any. And we hope, Barry, you're having a good summer, if you're out there paying attention. No subcommittee updates at this time. So we are moving on to unfinished business.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll jump into the slide deck at this point. So just a reminder about the upcoming meetings. We have that school building committee meeting on August 16th. Our next school committee meeting will be August 22nd. We will have a superintendent eval subcommittee meeting before that. And then for your calendars, on August 30th, we are looking to have a TMS groundbreaking ceremony at 6 p.m. right here on site. You'll be getting a formal invitation at some point down the line, and then our September school committee meeting. So we'll go to the next slide. MSBA update. So just to a lot's been going on, and we feel like we haven't met for a few weeks. So just to kind of provide an overview. As you can see, the construction site is matriculating down the driveway. Basically, they took over that first driveway there for all stormwater drainage. So the stormwater drains are in. They are surveyed today. They are inspecting the levels today, and they will be backfilling that within the next few weeks. They will be rerouting the National Grid electrical early next week. So effective next week, August 7th, Monday, August 7th, the entrance to Norris Road will be closed for 2 days. So people have to come in and out the exit road. We don't know exactly what 2 days those will be, but when we do, we'll get that on social media. Basically, the underground wire, electrical, is going to go right through the entrance driveway, and they're going to make all the connections now while they can. The water and sewer connections on campus are near complete. The footings for all 3 buildings are poured at this time. Now it's a matter of going in and pouring the foundation with the concrete. The gym floor will be poured within the next few weeks, and the elevator shaft is also going to happen in the next few weeks. So there's a lot of action taking place right now. We have a couple pictures that we'll show you in a minute. But there's been a lot of talk about the parking lot and the bus loop and what that's going to look like. And I think when the project started, we had anticipated that we would have certainly ample amount of parking for all our students. Unfortunately, at this time, given the additional space that was required by Fontaine Brothers, as they began to cut in that construction road, it's going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to walk you through that in a second. And the last thing on this is that Mr. Ogden has reached out, I believe, to the senior class already, that we will make 65 student passes available for parking as we look at the upcoming school year. We have 90 seniors, or 92 seniors in the senior class at this time, so 65 of them will have to go in a lottery to be able to see if they can get a parking pass. So if you can go to the next slide, Mr. Woodlock, I will kind of show what is going on. So as you can see, I'll use this highlighter here. This will be all new parking here on the campus. One of the things that is interesting is the bus loop used to come straight down here and cut across. Now it's going to come all the way straight down and then go out to the Norris Road. So that'll be new parking spots. This whole area in orange will be temporary binder this year for parking purposes. We will have ADA spots available here and ADA spots available here. We have a crosswalk here, crosswalk here. We're going to have to add a curb cut over here. If you can go to the next slide. What's important to note is right now, as you know, between the middle school and the high school, we have a sidewalk. That sidewalk will not be there next year. So we are going to create this sidewalk right here using Jersey barriers at this point down to the high school. So the road itself for the buses will go right up to the construction front. That'll be all road. There'll be no sidewalk here. And the students will get in, I'm calling it a chute or a funnel of a Jersey barriers to get down to the school. We'll have a couple of breaks in the Jersey barriers right here, so when students get off the bus, they can get into the channel and get down to the school. This will also save costs on the project in that because there's no sidewalk right here, there's no need for overhead protection because it will not be pedestrian access. So that is what it's going to look like, and this is kind of just a visual of a bus coming down the road, and that'll be a Jersey barrier protecting from both the parking lot and from the road itself. So that's what it's going to look like in terms of moving forward by the start of school. August 14th, I believe, they hope to have this whole thing temporary bindered, and by August 21st, they hope to have all the painted parking spaces in. So it'll be ready for the opening of school. So that's what is going to look like when the school starts this year. So we can go to the next slide.
Before we move
Go
on, question about the funnel, as you call it,
Yep.
snow removal. How wide is it going to be?
Yeah, so it's going to be 5 feet wide so that we can get our equipment down there. It's a good question.
Excellent.
And I think that's one of the other things that we need to consider when we consider parking every year. When we try to move snow and push snow around this campus, inevitably we lose several spots because it can only go so far. So we were mindful of that when we were thinking about what is the number that we can make available in the lottery for students.
What about the grade of that? So I'm worried about like puddles and the kids having to walk through puddles. Where it's only 5 feet wide, if you get a dip, you could get a pretty nasty puddle.
Yeah, I think we would just address it with Fontaine at that time
Okay.
and have it patched. Yeah.
Will that also be the walkway they use to access the gym from the middle school?
Yes, yep. So as you know, we share students and staff between two schools. So the students and staff will come right down the chute right here. We will still have a sidewalk available in front of the middle school this way, but for the kids to get across, they're going to cross here and come to the high school this way, or to the middle school this way, depending on where they're going. If you just go to the next slide. This is just kind of an overhead look at the project itself. They really call it 3 buildings, 3 sections. Section A is the middle section. Section B is the gym and central office section and the cafeteria over here. Section A is this first wing. And in the back on this slide is Section C right here. So I don't know how well you can see it on the screen, but maybe you can see it better on your laptop that the footings are poured for all of those buildings at this time, and it's a matter of a lot of concrete work is going to happen over the next couple of weeks. So that is the MSBA update at this time.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Flanagan.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on to 8B, the school committee subcommittee assignments. You can see them up on the board. And at this time, I will seek a motion to accept the subcommittee assignments as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second it?
Any discussion? All right.
Madam Chair, just so everyone knows, basically, we do the same process every year. I take the top 2 requests of every committee member, make sure I satisfy at least the top 2, and then we just kind of fill in accordingly. So if anyone has an issue with this, let me know, but I think this is pretty representative of what I heard.
Great. All right, any further questions? Cool. All right, let's move to a vote then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 5-0-0. All right. Moving on to new business. Look, 9A, we've got custodial and maintenance contract ratification. Mr. McMahon, would you like to discuss that for us?
Sure. So the negotiation subcommittee met with Council 93. Very productive negotiations. We were able to get it done in one night. Both sides came to the table willing to, find a deal. So it went really well. So a couple of the highlights, we're going to move from head custodian which is 3 FTEs to 4 ship supervisors. We're going to increase the rate for outside functions from $35 an hour to $40 an hour. And then we retired the first 2 steps on the salary scale, and we added 3 to the end. So both sides are really happy with it, and I think it's one of the better negotiations we've had in the last few years.
Awesome. Thank you.
And all the information is available in the drive.
Yes, sorry.
Any discussion? Any questions? All right, seeing none, I will seek a motion to approve and ratify the collective bargaining agreement with information as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I will second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 5-0-0. All right, 9B, Mass Legislative Committee, Dr. Flanagan.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just kind of a point of information for the school committee. I've been selected or recruited to serve on the MASS Legislative Committee. Yeah, there's no stipend that goes with it. I'll be one of 18 superintendents in the state that will work to develop legislative policy and work with our state lawmakers to kind of shape and offer input and guidance and support public policy surrounding all Massachusetts educational issues. So I just included this for your information, and these are kind of the norms and the charge of the committee, if you will. So that's just really a point of information. You will see this reflected in my goals when I present my goals to the Superintendent Eval Subcommittee next week.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Flanagan about this new voluntold opportunity he's got? All right, moving on then. 9C, acceptance into the DESE Inclusive Instruction Academy. Mr. Woodlock.
Yes, so this is pretty exciting for us, actually. This is kind of a selective opportunity for schools across the state to participate with DESE. Basically, we're going to be getting a lot of resources for nothing, which is pretty good. So it's called the Inclusive Academy, or the Inclusive Instruction Academy, and so we'll be working with experts from DESE on a lot of the things that we've been talking about here over the last year or so, including multi-tiered systems of support, universal design for learning, and additionally, they do a lot of work with those two things, but also with co-teaching, and we have a number of co-teaching sections top to bottom here in Tyngsborough. So there'll be a lot of great resources, a lot of information for our administrators, but also our teachers. So it's a 3-year program. This will be our first of 3 years. Again, it costs nothing for the district, which is good. And we have access throughout this to coaches who will be working with us. We're going to do a couple of days at Marlborough, where it's like the DESE headquarters for presentations and so forth, in a couple of weeks with a team that is represented here, which is myself, all 3 building principals, and a teacher representative from each building, Allie Bishop from the elementary school, Caitlin Tevepaw from the middle school, and Jeff Kalinowski from the high school. I'm going to see if we can get one more person on there. I don't think it'll be a problem, but there's someone else I'd really love to have that's been doing a lot of coaching for us here too. So again, August 16th and 17th, we'll be doing a full day there with this team. And then throughout the year and for future years, we'll have someone visiting us here about once a month throughout the year to offer professional development for a select group or larger groups, and provide us with information, answer questions, help us with our data collection, interpretation, those types of things. So really can't be a bad thing. It's no cost to the district, and we're lucky to be one of the schools that got chosen.
Any questions or discussion about this?
Madam Chair, if you would, how did we become a part of this?
It was an application process, so I filled out the application process in probably May, and I got notified probably late June that we were one of the schools accepted.
That's great. Well, thank you for looking for these opportunities. These opportunities, it's great for our school district to get the exposure, to get to see these other things, and all the better that it's free. But I appreciate you looking out for these opportunities for our district.
My pleasure.
All right, thank you. That is an excellent opportunity. I'm pretty excited about that. I'm glad we got to hear a lot about it. All right, moving on to 9D. The fiscal year 23 executive session minutes for council review and approval. I will seek a motion at this time to seek council review and approval to release the fiscal year 2023 executive session minutes. These minutes have been reviewed and redacted in consultation with school legal counsel.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, I'll move to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That does carry 5-0-0.
Yes.
At this time, before we move forward to Finance and School Committee discussion, we have had 2 citizens join us, so the chair would seek a motion at this time to revisit Agenda Item 3 for citizen time.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That does carry. And so with that, I would like to welcome you up to share with us any thoughts you have. We would like to note, is it 2 or 3 minutes?
It's 2 minutes per policy, at your discretion.
So it's 2 minutes per citizen. We are not able to respond, but we are always willing to hear and welcome any thoughts that our citizens have. So,
All right. Good evening. My name is Teresa Manning. Live in Strawberry Hill Lane. My kids are rising 8th graders and 11th graders. I sent an email earlier to the Board of Ed and Dr. Flanagan about the parking at the high school, and I just wanted to read it here. I would like to lodge an official complaint about the high school parking situation and request details on how the board and district plan to address this. During the middle school building project meetings, many questions about parking during the interim were asked. These answers provided were always that we would maintain adequate spaces for student parking, with the only concern being the spring, when sophomores age into licenses. Here we are, less than 1 month from the start of school, when all sports have been committed to, all school choice has been committed to, student and parent work schedules have been committed to, cars have been purchased with the assumption of being able to use them, and bus forms have been submitted. And now you're telling us that it's too late to change these, when it's too late to change these things, that students that had parking passes previously, my sophomore did have one since April, will not be able to get them again this year. I find this completely unacceptable on its own. And it's a huge disappointment that alternative provisions for parking at the campus are not being made, like parking on the baseball field, or reducing the construction allocation, or securing street parking, but compounded by the fact that no additional accommodations for those that cannot have their car on campus as planned are being provided based on the email that was sent out today. Will an alternative lot or bus service be provided for those that don't get spots but need their car closer to school to support athletics or jobs that are already committed to? The 40-minute bus ride home for my children, their bus previously goes all the way to Dunstable before it comes back to Tyngsborough, would not allow my students to get home in time to pick up their car to get to their sports. Will sports like golf add busing? Will transportation forms be sent out again so students can respond that they are going to need a spot on the bus because they no longer have someone to drive them to school? Our children will never benefit from the new middle school. My children in particular will never benefit from the new middle school. But we supported their initiatives and voted for it anyway because you all said that you were going to take care of things during this construction period. And we understood it would be the best for the town. Instead of being taken care of, it's been nothing but a detriment to our family and our kids. They've complicated shared gym schedules. There's during school and after school, right? The sports schedules for sharing the gym have been terrible. Our middle schooler has had regular learning disruption from the construction noise and is often challenged to concentrate. And now there's no longer a guarantee about our kids being able to get to and from school or school sports because our student driver cannot have his car here. He will be a junior. The likelihood of the 100 seniors leaving spots for the 100 juniors to apply for Lotto is pretty small, right? So the disappointment and loss of trust that we have and that we're feeling right now is kind of too hard to describe in words. We look forward to a reply and the steps that are going to be taken to remedy the situation for our high school students and for our families. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dawn Hannis. I live on Groton Road, and I'm here speaking about the same topic. We just got the email today, and we're pretty much blindsided. We had no idea, and have made all plans with the idea that he was going to be able to drive to and from school. It causes a lot of disruption from her. We bought a car with that in mind, that he was going to be able to drive to and from school, mainly because he plays football, and he plays baseball, and he has a lot of gear that he has to transport back and forth too. And he can't leave it here. It's thousands of dollars worth of gear in his catcher's bag. He can't leave it in the locker room. Even if we do, he can't take it on the bus either. So it becomes us having to bring them back and forth. When we talked about it last year too with, excuse me, with Ann and Mr. Ogden about him being able to bring it last year, even though he was of age and had his license, he was told no because of the parking situation at that time, but he would definitely get a parking pass this year. So we're in the same situation and disappointment that, you know, Teresa talked about in all ways, shapes, and forms. It's not just an impact, and I'm sure the more parents that find out about it, I mean, you're gonna hear a lot more complaints and a lot more concerns. And while I can understand, and we supported it too, because both my kids are not gonna be benefiting from this new school, but as a taxpayer for the town, I thought it was good for the town, and I voted for it too. I think it's a great thing for us. But right now, I'm really regretting it, hearing all the news about the overrun of how much it's gonna be, the plan's not going according to plan, and now it's significantly impacting our family. I mean, what are we supposed to do, drop him off every day and pick him up every day from school, for him to come home, to come back to school for football and all the other things? I mean, where is everybody gonna park when they come to the football games? That's another concern. I mean, I don't know if you've thought that through, but if they're playing can they even play on the field? And if they are, how is anybody gonna come see them? Where are all those people gonna park? I request too, and lodge a complaint officially. You'll be getting an email from me too, similar to the one that Teresa gave you, stating all those things and the additional concerns I have about it. But I would request that you find an alternate solution, like she said. I mean, there has to be a way that you can address the parking situation. It's not a big ask. I don't think it's a big ask at all, to be honest with you. In fact, I would even say so far as if the parking, how long is the parking not going to be ready? Would it make sense where TES actually has a ton of parking with kids that do not drive? Can they switch for the time being? For the time being, have the high school kids learn at the elementary school and have the elementary school learn at the high school. Solves the busing problem that you're probably going to see an influx of, because everybody's going to have to now resubmit their bus assignments. If they can't find an alternate way of getting here, or an upperclassman that wins the lotto, just for the interim, there's a whole bunch of spaces over there with kids that do not drive. I'm just trying to think of outside the box kind of solutions that maybe you can come up with in the interim to make everybody at least okay, and not have a huge impact from it. And that's all I have to say. I know that you guys will try and do the best for us, and I'm hoping that hearing from us when we just got the email notification today, that you'll probably understand that there'll be a lot more people behind us addressing the same concern and voicing the same request. That's all. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Having sat in those chairs as a citizen, I know it's not always easy to public speak, so thank you. All right. Number 10, Finance. Mr. Messina.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So for signing of bills, since our last meeting, tonight, 11 bill warrants were presented to the committee. In your drive, as always, for all of these signings of bills is the warrant number, account, and amounts. For single signer, Mr. Mullen did come into the office on June 20th to sign some FY23 bills. He also came in on June 11th and signed both FY23 and 24 bills. And on July 11th, there was one FY24 warrant as well. For signing of payroll, again, these information is in your drive, but we had three FY23 bill payroll signed since your last meeting, as well as the first three FY24 pay dates, and that is all in your drive. And that is it for finance.
Awesome. Thanks, Mr. Messina.
You're welcome.
Any questions, discussion? Seeing and hearing none, we will move on to school committee discussion.
All right, I'll start. I just want to thank Council 93 and our negotiation subcommittee for making it a smooth negotiation and for coming to the table, willing to partner with the school committee. It means a lot, and I really sincerely appreciate that. So thank you to everyone on Council 93 for that and our negotiation subcommittee. And Dr. Flanagan, I know you were voluntold to be part of this Mass Legislative Committee. I think it could only be a good thing for our town, and I appreciate that you're participating in it. And I appreciate all the things that you do to support our school system that we don't hear about as well. So I want to specifically thank you for that. And just hope everybody else has a great rest of the summer.
Thank you. Mr. Whitlock?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Dr. Flanagan?
I'll go right before you.
All right. Mr. Messina?
I'm all set, thank you.
Ms.
Well
Bill?
said, thank you.
I'm just hoping everyone's having a great summer.
I want to wish Shelby Govin good luck in her new role. Would you say, Dr. Flanagan, 20 years?
20 years.
So 20 years as a teacher, I know as long as I've been on the school committee, so 6+ years now. She was union president and has been very key in a lot of very critical decisions, especially during COVID. The working relationship we've had with the union, in no small part, is because of her. So I think her leadership with the union is going to be missed. But I'm also confident, the teachers as a whole are good, so they'll find somebody. Thank you, Dr. Flanagan, for, serving on this Mass Legislative Committee. It sounds like a whole bunch of fun. I'm so jealous. And then I want to thank Mrs. Manning and Hannes for coming out. Understandably, I understand their frustration. There may be some opportunities, like they said, for some, out-of-the-box thinking. I think Dr. Flanagan and his staff will definitely take a look at that and see what they can do to try and meet the needs of everybody. And we're in August. Summer's almost over. Enjoy it. Thank you.
Dr. Flanagan?
First of all, it's August 1st. Summer's not almost over.
School starts this month.
We're past the halfway point.
Yeah, so I just want to say briefly, and Ryan really touched on it. I wish Shelby Galvin all the very best. It's not too often, I think, that a superintendent and a union president get along as well as we do. And I think a lot of it has to do with because Shelby is a straight shooter, and I have tremendous respect for her, both as an educator and a person. And I think part of why Tyngsborough is a great place to work is because we work together to resolve a lot of issues, and we understand each other, and we see each other's perspective and point of view, and we're collegial and professional. And as great as Shelby was as union president, she's a better classroom teacher, and that's a real loss for our district. So I wish Shelby all the very best in Fitchburg. You will be sadly missed, so close the door gently. There might be a job here for you in the future if you decide to come back. But everyone enjoy the next couple weeks of summer. Kids are starting to show up on campus. As we heard, athletics are starting pretty soon, and we'll figure things out as we go, as we always do. So that's where we are. Thank you.
I would also like to thank Mr. Woodlock and Dr. Flanagan for all of the hard work you do for this district. I think it speaks volumes to what you do and what you contribute, that you were voluntold and accepted into these programs. And so just thank you for all that you do. I would also like to thank Mrs. Manning and Mrs. Hannes for coming out to speaking tonight. I know it's often nerve-wracking to present how you feel in a professional way, and I think they did so. And I know that the teams will do the best they can for our students. We always see that happen. So with that, and congratulations to everybody who has taken on new roles and is retiring and having babies. Enjoy the rest of the summer, everybody. And with that, I will seek a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That does carry. There is no need for executive session this evening, and thank you.